Waste no more time arguing about what a good man should be. Be one. Marcus Aurelius. What do you really value when you know it's important and you know what you value, knowing where you're going? This makes it easier for you to ignore what doesn't matter and focus on what does. Today I'm going to present you with 12 questions that I always think of, coming from the Stoics and other people from the past, that will help you, whoever you are and whatever you're doing in your life. And at the end, I'm going to give you a bonus of one of the greatest reflections I've had in recent times, which has helped me to improve my life in a hectic world full of daily problems. I believe that we often look for answers when in fact we should be looking for questions. I know that the right question at the right time can completely change the direction of your life, and this can sometimes save us from chronic problems such as depression. Number 1. What am I missing by choosing to worry or feel afraid? We often let our feelings control our actions, and this causes us to make wrong decisions, which we believe will rid us of that fear or worry. But in reality, we are just sabotaging ourselves. In the book The Gift of Fear by Gavin de Becker, he says, "When you worry, ask yourself, what am I choosing not to see now?" We only have a limited amount of time, emotional energy, and quality decision-making. How are you going to spend them? And often, by becoming anxious, worried, taking things personally, afraid, we are diverting our focus. This part about spending cognitive resources also became very famous today when Jeff Bezos said that he prefers his bosses to make few decisions so that he doesn't have the mental fatigue to possibly make the wrong decision. If we let worry or fear take over, we spend a lot of energy trying to protect ourselves, but in the end, we make things worse. Limiting the number of daily decisions you make as much as possible can give you greater clarity when making decisions. Remember that it's not the quantity of decisions made, but the quality of them. Number 2. If I'm not doing it for me, who am I doing it for? If it's for me, who am I? Hillel, a wise man from the time of Herod's reign, said, "If I don't do it for myself, who will I do it for?" Then he said, "If I go only for myself, who am I?" This, I believe, is related to the idea of being or doing. What is motivating you? Is it external achievements or really making a difference in this world? Yes, you need to fight for yourself, you need to stand up for yourself, and you may get stepped on many times. But if all you care about is protecting yourself, if all you care about is attention, who are you? What is your purpose? I think of someone like George Marshall, who achieved so much, and perhaps his greatest achievement was refusing command in Normandy. He didn't want his personal feelings to be taken into account again, to be or to do. Yes, he fought hard to get where he was, to make a difference, but he also knew that ego didn't matter in the end. What mattered was the team effort, the fight together for the greater good. There's a great expression I've heard that says, if you play for the name on the front of the shirt, they'll remember the name on the back. I think that's the best definition we can come up with of the reason for making such a decision. Another important decision is to subscribe to the channel and activate notifications to always receive quality content from the Stoics. Number 3. What is the most important thing to you? What do you really value? And if you don't know what's important, how do you know you're putting it first? So for me, all the other questions in life come after you've asked and answered what the most important thing in your life is. If I was told that I could make a lot more money working in another city, I wouldn't want that, because my family, my friends, and my relationship are much more important than piling thousands of dollars into my bank account. The most important thing is how these things balance each other out. Yes, my work is important, but it's not the most important thing. Seneca talks about this idea of euthymia. He says it's knowing the path you're on and not getting distracted by the paths of people who cross yours, especially people who are completely lost. When you know what's important, when you know what you value and know where you're going, it's easy for you to ignore what doesn't matter and focus on what really does. For example, many times we go out with our children for a walk in the park, but we stay on our cell phones scrolling down the Instagram feed, looking at old meaningless emails, instead of playing with the children and giving them the real attention and importance they deserve. So I want you to see these emotions not just as unpleasant but actively destructive, because they are. Things are going to happen in life that make us emotional, but we have to realize that we're only intensifying that by acting on those emotions. Number 4, who is this for? This is a question everyone should ask themselves. You always need to know who it's for. For example, in your job you have to ask yourself who you're doing what for, whether it's your boss, a co-worker, or a client? If it's your boss, what would he do with it? If it's a co-worker, how does it help them? If it's a client, what actions does my client benefit from? For example, with this channel, I could say that my goal is to create content for people who want to learn more about Stoicism, personal development, and mental clarity. But most of the time, that's too vague on its own. But if I say it's for people who want to live a lighter life and who want to see simple and efficient ways of making decisions, asking the right questions and knowing what they can and can't control, it becomes much easier. You have to know the environment. You have to get to know human beings. That's why empathy is so important. Who is it for? Who are they? Where are they? What do they want? You have to know who it's for. Number 5. Who are you spending your time with? I think you've heard that famous phrase a lot. Tell me who you're with, and I'll tell you who you are. Seneca talks about spending time with people who make you a better person. Remember that phrase? You are the average of the 5 people you hang out with the most. Well, the question is, are you spending time with people who are directing you where you want to go? Or are they diverting you from the path you want to follow? That's a question that can lead to some tough decisions. People you'll spend less time with. Who are you meeting after work? Who are you chatting to in WhatsApp groups? Who are you reading? What kind of content do you consume on the internet? The people we spend time with will make us better, they will make us worse, or they will keep us exactly as we are. Our consumption of information, socializing with people, and the environment we frequent determine who we are. Once we can define this, it becomes easier to make decisions about our social circle. It may seem difficult, but if you don't think those people are adding up to where you want to go, why hang around with them? Number 6. To be or to do. This is a fundamental question that comes from the great strategist John Boyd, who, when mentoring young men and women at the Pentagon, saw that you can take 2 paths in life. There are people who want to appear important, who want to reach a high position, who want to have their social networks full of followers and glamour, and there are those who want to quietly get things done. The 33rd President of the United States, Harry Truman, once said, "It's amazing how much you can accomplish if you don't care who gets the credit." Being or doing is mainly about credit, fame, and recognition. Do you care about achievement or impact? Do you care about credit, or about actually making things happen? You need to ask yourself, am I trying to be an important person? Am I trying to accomplish important things? And that question is crucial, to be or to do. The funny thing is that it's kind of contradictory in most cases. Most people who just try to become important don't manage to do anything or become important. On the other hand, people who try to do important things end up becoming important. This is in line with the phrase that has become very famous these days. The man who loves to walk ends up going further than the man who loves destiny. Number 7. Is it really important? Many of the things that we get angry about, that we cling to, that we focus on, don't matter in the slightest. They don't matter to you, to anyone. They simply don't matter. Marcus Aurelius says, ask yourself every moment, is this essential? That's because most of what we do and say isn't essential. He says, when you eliminate what is dispensable, you get the double advantage of doing the essential things better. In other words, we can make better decisions on the things that really matter. Comedian and host Stephen Colbert lost his father and 2 brothers in a plane crash when he was just 11 years old, and he said that what he learned from it was a question from his mother. She asked, "Can you look at that? Does it matter in the great game that is life?" Because many of the things that we get trivially angry about, that we focus on, in moments of crisis, we get real clarity. We realize that nothing mattered. People matter, your loved ones matter, doing your best matters. Everything else is irrelevant. And yet that's where we focus most of our time and energy. That's one of the reasons you should stop watching the news. It's only negative energy that you're bringing into your home and nothing more. Because we don't have the possibility to intervene in things directly, it's just noise confusing your mind. Focus on what's important. Number 8. Do I have control over this? Is it under my control? Epictetus says, this is the key question, the main task of the philosopher in life, which is to separate the things that depend on us from the things that don't depend on us. Much of the time and energy we spend in this life is on things that don't depend on us, that are beyond our control. When there's heavy traffic on the way to work, we don't need to have an opinion on the traffic because it's not within our control. But what is in my control is what I will do. What is under our control are our actions, our thoughts, our opinions. And so the Stoic learns to ignore what is not under our control and focus on what is under our control. And so we ask ourselves about everything we experience, everything we feel, everything we are doing. Is this up to me, or am I wasting energy in vain? Am I banging against a wall that will never move? One of our greatest evils today is to brood endlessly over something we have absolutely no control over. For example, if your sports team loses the championship, there are people who dwell on it for weeks, months, and even years, but they had no control over it. So focus on what you can control. Because if you can't get this idea out of your head, wanting to control the uncontrollable will only generate emotions that are difficult to deal with, such as anxiety and depression. Stoics are very careful about what they expose themselves to, as this can lead to bigger problems in the future. To deal with these problems like the Stoics, I've left a link in the first comment to help you. Number 9. Is this the person I want to be? Does this represent the person I see in myself that I'm trying to become? Or am I giving my lower self a gift here? Am I taking a shortcut here? Am I doing something that the person I see in myself wouldn't do? The American novelist Cheryl Strayed used to say, "You're becoming who you're going to be, so you'd better not be an idiot." When you do things, you have to ask yourself, is this representative of my character, my priorities, my values? What I've said is important to me. If the answer is no, you shouldn't do it. How we do anything is how we do everything. You have to ask yourself this question, is this person who I want to be? In every interaction, in every situation, whether big or small, because it accumulates in a way that nothing else can. Our small actions on a daily basis form our character. Number 10. What would your ideal day be like? Seneca said that a life is made up of days. The famous American writer Annie Dillard said, "How we spend our lives is how we spend our days." So ask yourself, what would an ideal day look like for you? How are you trying to plan your life? If you don't know what a good day looks like, what your ideal is, then you'll just be working to make more money, acquire more fame, gain more power or influence. You need to ask yourself, is this taking me closer to or further away from the life I want? This is when you have to turn off all external influences, look inside yourself, and see what you feel is of real value in your routine, what you have to do in it to bring you closer to the kind of person you want to be. This makes it much easier to determine what actions you can take in your routine to get closer to these goals. As Tim Ferriss once said, your life has to look forward to a typical Tuesday, and not the trips and parties, but what we can have in our daily lives. So ask yourself what your ideal day would be like. Number 11. Are you doing your job? That's a key question. When Sean Payton was suspended from the NFL for a year, he put up a large photo of himself in the Saints facilities and in a nutshell said, "Do your job." The idea is that everyone has a job to do at any given time. Even with Payton suspended, he meant that the rest of the team had a job to do. Sometimes it's a small job, sometimes it's a big job, but everyone has to know their role in an organization, in life. You have to ask yourself, am I doing my job? In the end, we end up focusing more on other people's work than our own, because it's easier than doing our own. And that's why I like this question so much. Are you doing your job? And if you're not, why not? If you are great, keep doing it. Number 12. Will this be a living time or a dead time? Writer Ryan Holiday said that this is something Robert Greene asked him when he was thinking about becoming a writer. He had about a year to go before he could go and do something, and Robert said, "What will this year be for you? Will it be a living time or a dead time for you? Are you going to enjoy every second or stand still and be passive and wait?" Ryan said he reflected on this during the lockdown. It will be a living time or a dead time. In other words, living time treats every moment like a lifetime because while you have it, you're alive. But after it passes, it dies. Now is now. Can you make the most of this time? What can you use it for? If you always choose a lifetime, then you're always improving, always moving forward. You're not wasting time. Seneca says that it's not that life is short, it's that we waste too much of it. We kill time while time kills us. And the truth is that you always have the capacity to make the most of this moment. We often choose not to because we don't ask ourselves that question. Before I give you the bonus, I'd like to ask you to like and subscribe. This will help me a lot to bring you more valuable content. Thank you. What is the meaning of life? Now let's move on to the bonus, in which I want to give you two very interesting views on this question. What is the meaning of life? Viktor Frankl, a Holocaust survivor, wrote the incredible book In Search of Meaning. In the book he says that we ask, what is the meaning of life? But he says that in fact it is life that asks us this question, and it is our actions, our decisions that provide the answer. Meaning is something we create from our actions, our thoughts, our decisions, our choices, who we choose to be. These are the questions that, if you ask them often enough, can provide you with the answers that will enable you to become who you are capable of being. This will help you to become your true potential by pursuing your journey. But be very careful with this. As soon as you ask yourself what it means and find the answers, it's essential that you take action on it, because otherwise you'll enter an eternal loop of frustration, anxiety, and even depression. So do it wisely and take action. That's what got me out of a hole in my journey, because just improving the questions without action didn't bring me fulfillment and self-love. But when taking action, you have to be very careful that you're not committing anti-Stoic habits, as this will only make things worse. So watch this video here to make sure you're not making these mistakes.